Welcome, everyone, to the Marijuana Times Show for January 4th, 2018. I'm your host, Joe Klare. You find myself and a lot of other great writers covering everything from the cannabis community and industry and beyond over at marijuanatimes.org. You can find these videos there as well. You can share them on your social media outlets. We would appreciate that. Of course, you can search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts. You'll find our audio podcast. You can also search on YouTube and Facebook to find the video version of the show as well, of course, along with marijuanatimes.org. As I mentioned today, a huge news, rippling, probably more than rippling, slamming through the cannabis industry. Biggest news we've had in a while. We'll get to the meat of that as we go, and also lawmakers react to the news out of the Department of Justice that came this morning. Also, maybe a little prelude about a Jeff Sessions senior advisor and what he was suggesting. All that is coming up, of course. But first, I want to tell you, the Marijuana Times Show is brought to you by Naturesidecannabis.com. All natural, all organic, everything just safe as can be, safe for everyday use, poison-free pesticides. You got to get rid of pests in your grow if you're a legal cannabis cultivator. You don't want to be using harmful chemicals to do that. You also want to comply with various regulations. They're different in each state, whether you're in Colorado or Washington or Oregon. Natureside products are listed on the approved use in the cultivation of marijuana lists for all of those states' agricultural departments. Check it out, naturesidecannabis.com, a proud sponsor of the Marijuana Times Show. Maybe after today's news, regulations in various states are even more important. But first, let's check out the story from marijuanatimes.org that was posted before all of the turmoil that was unleashed by the Department of Justice. This morning, Sessions advisors suggest giving doctors the right to drug test anyone and force users into treatment. Basically, remember a few weeks ago, Sessions had his little closed-door meeting with people who don't like marijuana. And for a while, they talked about how ignorant they are about marijuana and said ignorant things about marijuana and pretended to know about marijuana and talk about how much they hate marijuana. One of those policy experts was Dr. Robert DuPont, a drug warrior from the 1970s, who in the 1980s led the spreading of the then popular gateway drug theory, which has since been proven false. Now he is proposing that doctors should have the right to test for drugs the same way that they check cholesterol levels and blood sugar to detect diabetes, therefore approaching addiction in the same way. This is a quote from DuPont. If this plan were to go through, doctors could drug test patients routinely, especially if they suspect drug use, and then force them into treatment against their will by threatening them with criminal prosecution. This could include mandated monitoring and random drug testing for a period up to 5 years. If that wasn't bad enough, of course, came the news this morning. Obviously, every news outlet so far has covered this. But this is from the original AP story from apnews.com. Sessions ending federal policy that led to legal pot flourish. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has rescinded an Obama-era policy that paved the way for legalized marijuana to flourish in states across the country, creating new confusion about enforcement and use just 3 days after a new legalization law went into effect in California. President Donald Trump's top law enforcement official announced the change Thursday. Instead of the previous lenient federal enforcement policy, Sessions' new stance will instead let federal prosecutors, where marijuana is legal, decide how aggressively to enforce longstanding federal law prohibiting it. Of course, obviously, he's unleashing the U.S. attorneys who really have the power to prosecute on the ground. Sessions' plan drew immediate strong objection from Republican Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado, one of 8 states that have legalized marijuana for recreational use. And we'll get into more of this feedback and blowback here in a minute. But Gardner really seemed to tweet to start it off. He said in the tweet, "The Justice Department has trampled on the will of the voters in Colorado and other states." He said the action would contradict what Sessions had told him before the Attorney General was confirmed, and he was prepared to take all steps necessary to fight the step, including holding up the confirmation of Justice Department nominees. Sessions rescinded the Obama-era policy. He said in a one-page memo to top prosecutors around the country, Quote, in deciding which marijuana activities to prosecute under these laws with the department's finite resources, prosecutors should follow the well-established principles that govern all federal prosecutions by considering the seriousness of the crime and its impact on the community. Basically going back to where we were before. If U.S. attorneys feel like it, if they feel it meets these very vague criteria, then they can go after marijuana in any state that they feel like, whether it's medical or recreational, because obviously both still violate federal law. A lot of reaction coming from lawmakers all across the country. This is from Marijuana Moment. Our buddy Tom Angel over there, of course, he starts with Senator Gardner. We just talked about, but many senators came out and other lawmakers. Kristen Gillibrand said this reported decision is a direct attack on patients. Parents should be able to give their kids the medicine they need without fear of prosecution. Veterans should be able to come home from combat and use the medicine they need without fear of prosecution. She made several tweets. Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska released a statement. My office can confirm we received a notification from the Justice Department this morning that they intend to withdraw the so-called quote-unquote Cole Memorandum. Over the past year, I've repeatedly discouraged Attorney General Sessions from taking this action and asked that he work with the states and Congress if he feels changes are necessary. Governor Jay Inslee from Washington said, make no mistake, as we told the Department of Justice ever since I-502 was passed in 2012, we will vigorously defend our state's laws against undue federal infringement. Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission, came out and said they business as usual there. They're going to keep moving forward with legalization. Nancy Pelosi slammed Sessions. Oregon Governor Kate Brown said reports that Attorney General Jeff Sessions will roll back federal marijuana policy are deeply concerning and disruptive to Oregon's economy. Oregon voters were clear when they chose to legalize the sale of marijuana, and the federal government shouldn't stand in the way. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of those. Obviously, all the activist organizations like NORML, Marijuana Majority, and Drug Policy Alliance, and Marijuana Policy Project, they all got petitions going and calls to action and all that. It's what everybody was worried about for the last almost year, is basically Sessions telling the U.S. attorneys that if they feel like going after marijuana, whether recreational or medical, that they can do that and to have at it. We'll see what that leads to. Still, it doesn't mean something is imminent. It may not be a concerted effort. Maybe just, maybe the U.S. Attorney in Washington really feels strongly that they need to go after this, and they do that, and the damage is focused there, and the fight is focused there. Maybe it's 2 states, maybe it's 8 states, maybe it's 20 states. Who knows? Maybe they'll announce tomorrow that every single state, every U.S. Attorney in every state is going after marijuana, and to be prepared. We'll see. No matter what, we'll be here at the Marijuana Times, checking it all out for you. Bringing you the latest news, marijuanatimes.org as well. Thank you to NatureSideCannabis.com for sponsoring the show. Organic, all-natural pesticides. Go check them out. Going to be regulatory compliant in the state that you're in. NatureSideCannabis.com. Thanks to everybody who likes and shares the show. Continue into the new year. We'll follow developments in this story and others, of course, at marijuanatimes.org and here on the Marijuana Times Show. Thanks, everybody.